Most girls are not diagnosed or they're misdiagnosed, and this isn't really fair. You know, we are coming together on Facebook forums and chatting, and we all seem to have the same traits. We're all different, of course, but we all have the same challenges, very similar sensory issues. The way that we react and the way that we present ourselves in our lives is very, very similar, eerily similar. How can so many women come together and talk about being so similar and relating without this being truth? It is the truth. I believe that there are just as many women with Asperger's syndrome as there are men. This is something that I truly believe. Apparently, Yale University has been given a grant to study autism in women, which is awesome. So that's great because right now, little girls are being failed and have been failed for a long time. Children in general are being failed, but particularly girls. Women tend to have stronger language, and we get very misunderstood with the way that we behave and act because we tend to really want to understand people and try very hard. A lot of people with Asperger's have a strong memory, and we will observe people to no end. I used to actually carry around a Talk Girl tape recorder and tape record people and listen. How creepy is that? But really it's because I wanted to understand people. I wanted to mimic them. I wanted to, learn how to be socially appropriate so that I could get by in life. We really hold it to ourselves, we females. So what happens, I talked in my other video about how females can often have melodramatic emotions, oh wow, that's great, or oh, sort of melodramatic, over-the-top emotions, and we're misunderstood as being weird and eccentric and, oddball and, bipolar or on drugs, What's really funny about the drugs issue is that often when we are ourselves, we're not on drugs. But what's funny is that a lot of Asperger girls and Aspies in general, men too, have come forward now that they feel they are Asperger's, they've, come across the information. But a lot of people have come forward and said they used self-medicating, alcohol, Ativan, pills. It's very sad and unfortunate. But a lot of people growing up, lacking the understanding and wanting to socially fit in, used self-medicating for that purpose, or, misused substances. It's quite common. I did that, and I developed a problem with it. I had to recover and realize who I really am, and I'm not alone in that. There's so many people who have done this, and it's just unreal for me to hear all these stories and think like, wow, I'm not so unique. After all, this is a phenomenon that does occur, and it's just not being talked about amongst clinicians. It's not being acknowledged in the psychiatric, field, and we're going to keep talking. We're going to keep talking until it gets acknowledged, because we have developed post-traumatic stress disorder, a lot of us, from being misunderstood and mistreated. It's not fair that so many women who are truly Asperger's have to have misdiagnoses on their file, such as bipolar disorder, OCD, borderline personality disorder, even narcissistic personality disorder, even sociopathy on some occasions when certain people are not able to display their emotions, It's not fair. It's not who we are. It's a complete misunderstanding. Docs, you don't have it right. You don't know who we are. You don't know what we do in private. You don't know we stim and rock. And, we're on that borderline where we're very high functioning. So we keep that kind of thing quiet. We keep it to ourselves, We felt the pressure to fit in all our lives. And that can cause us a lot of trouble, self-medicating, maybe health issues as well, internalizing all those sensory issues. I have fibromyalgia, and I think I know why. But anyway, we're going to keep talking. We're not going to stop until this gets acknowledged, because even today, kids are still, friends are telling me this, that see it in the field of education. Kids with Asperger's, or soon to be high functioning autism, are still getting misdiagnosed with other behavioral problems like ADHD, oppositional defiance. It's very silly because clearly these kids are on the spectrum. They just may have strong language and be very bright, but they struggle, and they need the help and the understanding, and it's not happening. And a lot of it is because of money. They're afraid to diagnose because then they would have to offer funding and whatnot, and they don't want to spend the money. It's about the money, man, and that's not okay. People suffering because of money. I almost want to cut a deal with them and say, dude, we don't care about the money as much. I mean, yes, it would be helpful, but if you want to cut the funding for kids with Asperger's high-functioning autism in exchange for acknowledgement and diagnosis, I'd go for it, personally. So anyway, a couple of great books. One is, this book saved my life. This woman is amazing. She's an absolute pioneer in the world of Asperger's, particularly in females. Aspergirls by Rudy Simone. Rudy, if you ever watch this, man, I love you. You brought me to my diagnosis, and I will forever respect you to no end. Rudy Simone is a brilliant woman. She makes videos on YouTube. You should watch her videos. She's really funny as well. She's a talented singer, but her writing to describe Asperger's, and she's so good at writing about Asperger's relationships, Aspie relationships. I read her books my husband and I read her books to help each other, get through, because Aspie relationships are real hard for many reasons. I'm not going to get into that in this video. Another book that is really amazing, and it's one of its kind, really, is this one. Asperger's Syndrome and Alcohol, Drinking to Cope. Yes, this is a very good book. It really gives a good core description of the challenges that cause somebody to want to self-medicate or escape and, poorly cope with their Asperger's, often unknowing. They don't know that they have AS. So it's a great book by Matthew Tinsley and Sarah Hendricks. Matthew Tinsley suffered from alcoholism himself, and he recovered, and he wrote this book. It's a totally untapped subject, and I've made a video about it because I feel it needs to be talked about. It's actually so rampant, and people suffer in isolation. Aspies that have drug and alcohol problems to cope with their challenges suffer in isolation, and that's not cool. And it would be great if we talked about this more to promote recovery and healing. So yeah, two awesome books. The Asperger's Syndrome and Alcohol, I had to order that. It was hard to get. Like I said, it's one of its kind. So yeah, females on the spectrum, we're going to keep talking. Hopefully that Yale study is going to really help us out. There are so many differences in the ways that the female brain copes with a high-functioning autism. The female brain copes quite uncannily and masks a lot of the symptoms, but if clinicians would know how to identify it, it would probably be identifiable. It's just the fact that they're being closed-minded and they are going by old precedents that, in my opinion, are completely outdated and totally unserving to us and hurting us very badly. So, power to the Aspies, yay! I love you all, Spectrumites, and all people alike, all people that are open to what I'm saying here. Please, even if you don't have Asperger's or autism yourself, maybe you have a family member or a friend who does, and you probably know somebody that does anyway. And it's really good to learn about what autism really is and what it's not. And okay, once again, I am a girl outside the box, girl.blogspot.ca. If you guys watch my videos often, you're probably sick of seeing that picture. But I put it up there for people that come across my video. Okay, so that's it. Check out my blogs, check out my videos, and peace out.